Hello everyone, my name is Chira. Welcome to Career Essentials. Today I'm here with Chloe, and today we're going to be discussing another career path, which is psychology. And this is to help you to identify what the suitable career path is for you in your life. And if you are just finishing school, or if you are just finishing university, or you want to do some research, I hope this video helps you to get to know more about psychology and what it's all about, and to see if that is something useful for you to decide if that's the career path you want to take. So, Chloe, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So let's get straight to it. So psychology is a massive topic, and it's a big industry altogether. So if you were to sort of put it in a nutshell, what is psychology for someone who doesn't know about it, has no idea about it? What is psychology?
So I suppose in a nutshell, psychology is studying the way people behave and the way they think, the way they act. So it's kind of linking thoughts to behaviour. So obviously psychology is a very broad subject, but you know what you really have to do is specialise in a type of psychology, which is more what I did was applying psychology to real life. So I suppose what I got into first of all was business psychology, so applying, studying people in the workplace. And now I'm actually in a bit of a change of my career path and studying consumers, so consumer behaviour. So it's still psychology, but it's different elements of it. So
Right.
in a nutshell.
That's what it is. So studying the behavior of people.
Yeah, the thoughts, the way they react to things, basically, and their behaviours.
Right. So you be part of an organization working to. So what would be the purpose of someone who in psychology working in an organization? What would be the purpose?
So in the past I've worked in consultancy, and I will actually be going back into consultancy as well in my next role. And a lot of the jobs in psychology do actually lead to consulting, so because you're quite specialised in your field, you end up going into other organisations and giving them advice how. So in terms of business psychology, how to utilise their people, which are your biggest asset, and basically giving them advice as to how they can work better in teams, so team development work, anything from personality reports, to studying, understanding your personality a bit better and how you work in the workplace with other people. So I mean there's a load of different things that you can do in that area, but it's really just like taking the principles and the theories from psychology and applying them to the real world, so as practical as possible really, and as tangible really as possible.
I see. So you'd most probably either be working for a company that does consultancy work, or you could be sort of self-employed.
That's kind of the path I think that it leads to. So going from consultancy, obviously there's a lot of consultancies around the UK, but it can be quite tough to get into consultancy. So some people do go out on their own and they start up their own business and maybe get other people to join. So or you could work as an associate, so coming in purely by yourself, getting associate work. But I think that's something that comes with a lot of experience after being in a company. So I think starting off in psychology, especially in business or consumer or applied psychology, it's really to get into a consultancy and then get experience with going into bigger organisations as a behalf of a consultancy, really. So that's where I started off and where it kind of applies.
Okay. So basically, you go into organizations and help them out, improve their businesses, and working about with employees and how they're dealing with teamwork and projects and so on. Okay, fantastic. So for someone, if someone watching this is interested in getting into psychology, or is wants to get into that career, what sort of qualifications do you need to get into this line of work?
Well, you basically need to do a degree in psychology. So I did a 3-year degree, and that was in applied psychology back in Ireland. A lot of people do psychology as an undergrad. They might do it as part of a broader degree, so maybe take on other modules like sociology and things like that, and then decide where to go from there. But you do need a basis of an undergrad in psychology, and then after that you do need a master's as well if you want to specialise in a specific area. So my master's was in organisational psychology, and it's not about how to be organised, which some people think it is. It's organisation, so applying psychology to organisations. And then from there, I mean, it's still very broad because, there's so many organisations in the world and there's so many ways you can apply psychology. So, from there, then it's all about where you get your work experience. But again, it could be anywhere really. You could do it internally. I mean, people that have done my master's go into different career paths. So some people go into HR, human relations, like public relations, recruitment. I mean, there's so many different things, like HR consultancies are another one. There's a lot of jobs, I suppose, down south of the UK. Mostly there's a lot of consultancies that are set up down there. But of course, you can use your skills to kind of apply it in another way. So in terms of more the business side of it, the HR kind of side. So I think there's a lot of opportunities really, but I suppose then another way is going through, academic. So doing a PhD if you want to specialise in a specific subject, if you really like to do a dissertation. So that's another route that some people do take. Yeah.
So basically it's to start off with an undergrad degree.
Undergrad, yeah, and then a master's to specialise. Because it's really, honing down on your skills, and I think it made me a lot more focused as to what I want to do. I learned a huge amount, from my master's, even though it was a year. Probably because maybe I was that bit older, but it really helped me because psychology is so broad, just to hone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important, and I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, just hone it down. Yeah.
Right, fantastic. So what sort of, if someone's just in school doing their A-levels, what sort of subjects should they do to get into, or what subjects are best to get a foundation to get into psychology?
Yeah, well, definitely you can do psychology as an A-level. And then I definitely would recommend a business module if possible,
Business studies.
Business studies, yeah, because especially if you want to work in industry, or in consulting, I think that's something that, it's quite hard to teach when you're,
further down the line.
Yeah, basically, and having business skills along with psychology is so beneficial, and it definitely needs to be taught a lot more, I think. So, I mean, the two do actually combine quite well. It obviously depends what kind of psychology route, if it's clinical psychology or educational psychology, that's completely different.
Right, I see.
But I think at A-level, definitely pairing business with psychology would be brilliant. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. So I just we just discovered that there's more to it. There's clinical psychology and educational psychology, which is different to business psychology.
There's loads in psychology. I mean, psychology is like a degree, but then you really have to specialise because it's so hard to. Because it's so broad, there's so many different areas you can go into, because psychology is everywhere really. It's all about humans and how they interact. So I mean, there was loads of things I could have done. You could do neuroscience, which is related to psychology, the brain structures. So that's a little bit academic, I suppose, but if you wanted to go down that route, it's another option. But for me, it was really because I wanted to work in the business industry, so a more kind of, not even corporate, but, I wanted to work in an office. I wanted to have that kind of a culture, rather than having the academic kind of research all the time. I like a bit of research, but I mean, it's just so broad. It's really just picking what you want to do and where you see yourself in the future.
Right. So that actually moves on to my next question. Now I know you mentioned that there are so many, and we can understand now how there are so many. But if you were to sort of, let's just look at business psychology, and if you were to split that into subcategories or different sort of niches. What would you say the main ones are in business psychology? You mentioned consultancy and the other one was consumer behavior.
Yeah, so they're like the different industries that you could kind of work in. So I suppose it's really like business psychology is nearly like one niche industry of its own, and then consumer psychology is another niche industry. Wow. Yeah. So in terms of business psychology, it's more about assessment of people and development of people, so the actual staff in an organisation. So studying them and how you can make them better. And then consumer psychology is another, so underneath that would have researching, it's kind of like market research, understanding consumer behaviour, why people purchase things, why they behave the way they do, what's the reasons behind their behaviours, in terms of buying things online or from websites. So I mean there's loads, it really is quite broad, but just to kind of like distinguish the two a little bit. But then they also link because it's all psychology,
Yeah. So you got business psychology, consumer psychology, a few more.
There's loads. There's educational, clinical.
It just goes on. Goes on and on. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, is there a type of? Would you say that there is? It may not necessarily apply in some industries, but with regards to psychology, would you say that there's a type of personality that is best suited for psychology?
I think the type of person who would like best suit psychology, studying psychology and going down that route would be someone who's interested in other people's behaviours. So, like you like observing people, maybe like people watching, even, just like every day you're kind of like wondering why people are behaving the way they do, like random questions pop into your head.
Yeah.
The differences between males and females and why males do one thing or females do another, why we think the way we think, why we are, why do we have these personalities. So an interest into basically human behaviour. So having that, probably curiosity as well, wanting to figure out, like kind of get a result from a question and kind of figure things out, so quite curious. And then I suppose like it's a bit different as well, so psychology, someone who's a little bit unique, a bit quirky maybe, I think I'd like to say. I mean anyone I've ever met who's a psychologist or, who's kind of gone down that path that I've, had the privilege of working with or I've met through work. They've always been a little bit just like interesting and a bit different and always have a story to tell or a different perspective on the world. And just a very interesting people. So I suppose, like if you like variety, it's not just a, office job that you're just sitting down typing or, maybe working with numbers and a spreadsheet all day. I mean, it's not that, it's way more diverse, way more variety in the job. And because I suppose it's constantly changing, because that's the way humans are, we're always changing and evolving. You need to be, quite able to follow that change, I suppose. So somebody who likes change as well and diversity.
Right, okay. So with regards to personality, Chloe's best suggestion or advice is if you're someone who is intrigued and curious about people and their behavior, then that psychology is probably something for you.
Yeah.
And also with regards to your day-to-day role, it's a very diverse and there's a lot of variety. So then this is something for you.
Yeah.
Right. What is the best part of being in this line of work? What would you say? What do you find most rewarding? Or what gives you that sense of fulfillment or accomplishment?
Well, what I always said was I want to help people in whatever job that I do. And I think, even though you mightn't think, okay, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor, but being able to apply psychology to business and to helping humans, in whatever way I can, that's what I find very rewarding. Right. So in terms of developing people or, helping businesses out with their products, or because there's so much that I can help businesses out with. So yeah, really just helping people in a different kind of a way. And like I said, the variety of the role, that's what I really like. So it's not just the same thing every day. That's what I value about it, is the variety. So it's constantly changing, constantly doing different things. And I suppose lastly, meeting so many different people. So especially working in consultancy, you're constantly working with new clients or new businesses, so you're learning about a new business or a new company. So that in itself, you're not working in one industry, you could be working in the private sector, public sector, because that's the nature of consulting. So you get to learn a little bit about a new business that you've maybe never heard about before. So I quite like that, yeah.
Okay. So some of the best things about working in this line of work, psychology, is the fact that you can help people out and help business out become better, make teams in businesses with their projects or whatever work they're doing become better, perform better, be more efficient, and basically helping people is very rewarding, isn't it? Yeah, even if you're not in lines of work such as being a doctor or a nurse, psychology is probably something you can consider if you are keen on helping people.
Yeah, definitely.
And being a very diverse role, varied role, as we mentioned before, makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Right, fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, Chloe, for joining with Career Essentials today. And if you got any more questions about psychology and what this line of work is about, feel free to ask any questions, leave a comment below, and I'll be happy to answer that. Until I see you next time. This is Chira here and Chloe signing off from Career Essentials. See ya.
Bye.